Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to the show here. As you can see, I am not even close to being done or started anymore with the, why is that? There we go. With the setup of the studio. I'm not even close. And there's no excuses. I'm 2 weeks out. I'm 2 weeks out from doing what I need to do. By the way, I want to talk about this situation here with these eyes. I looked in the mirror and there were still dark circles, but why does it look so much worse on camera? So they're not nearly as bad as it looks, but I am also tired and allergies a little bit, not too bad now. We've got some rain that's come in, so it's kind of like moved some of that stuff out, that cedar fever. But I'm about to start a 9-day stretch really soon with work. Yeah. So anyway, and I lost my planner, dude. I need to take a side journey on the side conversation before I dive into the show today. I have a calendar, a daily calendar, and then I also have like this notebook. I jot down ideas. Sometimes they're show ideas. What is my cat doing? Sometimes they're show ideas. Sometimes they're just it's work related stuff. I have one for my show that I leave right here, and then I have the one that I take to work every day in my backpack. But sometimes I get an idea for a show and I'll write it in there. This freaking cat is pissing me off. Hold on. Russell, get out of here. And I lost it. And I'm notorious at work. My mind is like I'm organized. I know what events I got. I know what I got to do. I get things handled, but I'm feeling very much like I need to start doing something different because I'm misplacing stuff. It got me questioning. I'm like, dude, do I need a CT scan? Am I getting old? Am I getting dementia? Like I can't remember. And I set it in the same spot every day I get to work. I walk in, I set my backpack down, I grab the device I need, and then I pull these two pieces, my daily planner and my little notebook, out and put it on my desk all the time. I don't take it anywhere. Maybe if I go to the office, but I don't take it like to the wear room. I don't take it like it's there, and that's all I did. And now it's just gone. It was sitting there the other day, and it's just gone. And I was like questioning myself: did I take it somewhere else, and I can't remember that I took it there? Did I go to the bathroom and leave it? But I didn't. I walked in the back room. I walked in the office twice today. 3 times, once to try to look for it. I don't know. So really, and I get hyper-focused where I have to like search, and So I'm hoping when I go in tomorrow, I'll have where somebody found it. But it really pissed me off because there's a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of my plans for work are in there. But I'm just feeling like overwhelmed and disorganized, and I think I need to do something different. So I digress. But that is the big reason why I have not done anything else in this area. That's why the eggshells are on the floor. That's why my other stuff I want to hang up's on the floor. That's why the brand new light I got is still in the package. That's why the new headphones I got are still over there. These ones are fine. I don't mind them. But that's why the other microphone that I've been wanting to use for 4 months now that I haven't messed with, I started messing with it on TikTok. I like it, but it's over there. I'm not on the priority level. I'll be honest. I want to elevate the show, and I need to. It's important. I've been doing it this long. We're approaching 300 episodes. I need to elevate my game, and 2 weeks out, guys. So that's the deadline. That's the deadline I gave myself, and that's the deadline I'm giving you guys. So today, though, I'm kind of excited. Remember, a while ago I talked about being able to go see Masters of the Universe, which is dropping in theaters on June 5th, I think. And it's the live-action Masters Universe. I got a sneak preview. I'm not going to give anything away. But it got me thinking about other cartoons and got me thinking about cartoons that should be movies, some that were, some that tried, some that got into a live action series, some that made animated movies, and others that are, haven't been touched. And I will say this, I thoroughly enjoyed the Masters of the Universe. I'm going to go see it again in the theater. I actually think Luke would like it, but he doesn't seem to be into it. I'm very excited to go see it again. And I know people have issues with Jared Leto, and kind of so do I. I don't think he's great as an actor. He seems to have the greatest agent under the sun, or he seems to have some dirt on somebody, or he's part of the Hollywood Epstein clan. I know there's some weird things that we've heard, but there's no proof of this stuff, so I can't say anything. I liked 30 Seconds to Mars. I'll be honest with you. I thought the band was pretty cool. I thought they had some great songs. Beautiful Eyes, an awesome song. It's crazy to me the different movies he's in, because I don't watch a movie and go, oh my God, I got to see this because Jared Leto's in it. And I look at other movies that he's done. God, I'm dying over here. I look at other movies he's done and I'm like, those were just bad. Yes, he was in My So-Called Life. That's what started it. And now he's been, he's 54 years old. He looks great. He probably does drink blood. I need to get on his level. I don't have the money, though, to be that person. But Tron Ares, not good. The script wasn't good. The story wasn't good. It was visually stunning. The soundtrack was good, but the movie wasn't good. Suicide Squad, the 2016 version, was okay. It had moments. He wasn't good. Morbius sucked. Dallas Buyers Club was great, but it wasn't because of him. American Psycho was great, but it wasn't because of him. Fight Club was great, but not because of him. Masters of the Universe is cool. It is a really cool movie. And the way they did Skeletor, I was into it. House of Gucci is an awesome movie. I thought he did a pretty good job. Had a lot of makeup on, so it was kind of hard to tell it was him. The Little Things movie should have been good, but it wasn't. Lord of War's good. Mr. Nobody might be his his best movie. If I'm really being honest, Girl Interrupted, whatever. Blade, whatever. Outsiders, horrible. Honestly, that might be his best movie. Blade Runner is just not good. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these films and I'm like, you know what? I think that might be his best movie. So, that being said, though, he manages to be in a lot of movies. And he plays Skeletor. And I thoroughly enjoy the whole film. Do I think it's perfect? No. Do I enjoy it? Yes. But it got me looking at these movies and these cartoons. And I also went down a rabbit hole of He-Man. Kevin Smith did 2 He-Man series, Revelations and Revolution and Revelations. It was really confusing on Netflix. And I watched those. I binge watched those. And I thought they were really good. The animation was great. The voices were good. The direction they went into the story wasn't your typical, just He-Man versus Skeletor. We really dived into some of the lore. And it is a direct continuation of the 1980s He-Man series, which I went back and watched that as well. So I enjoyed that, and it got me really diving into He-Man and thinking about some of these other animated shows that I grew up on, because back in the day, guys, Saturday morning, and I've talked about it, you've heard me talk about it, Saturday morning cartoons and after-school cartoons were a monumental piece of us growing up. And I can't say all of us, but I will just speak for myself. More so than I think cartoons nowadays. I don't think they have the same effect. I understand, you had Cartoon Network and you've got streaming and things are different. But it's more so, even some of the most popular cartoons that go into the early 2000s and mid 2000s, if you look at it now, I look at my son and I think about the cartoons that he watches, it's not the same. Matter of fact, he loves the OG, and I'm talking OG Pink Panther cartoons, which I think is really cool. They're not my favorite, I'll be honest, but some of them are entertaining, the simplicity of it. But you're talking about a kid who's 8 years old watching something that came on in the 60s. The animation's different, the humor's different. He likes it. I think that's cool. I support it. But it's not the same. It's not we don't have these cartoons that were iconic and that were a huge part of our lives that created merchandise, whether that be action figures or stuffed animals or t-shirts, and then it just went on and on and on. We don't have that the way that I did back in the day. I don't believe we do, and I think it's vastly different. And I started thinking about like He-Man Masters of the Universe, and doing a movie, a real movie that's better than the Dolph Lundgren one. Which, by the way, I watched that again on Tubi, and it's bad. But I have to say, there's a lot of reasons why it went bad. And I remember not liking it as a kid, and that was when I was like prime with anything. The reasons it went bad was there was massive budget cuts, and Mattel was supposed to pay for X amount of the production of this movie. Unfortunately, by the time they got to make the movie, they started noticing that He-Man toys slumped a little. They went down in sales a little. So because of that, Mattel did not fork over the money that they had agreed to. And they're Mattel, so they get away with it, right? The other thing was they also limited the movies. I was trying to figure out why all these characters, half of them were just made up for the show, and why we did not get some of the core key He-Man characters from the cartoon in this movie, because Mattel wouldn't let them. So they had to create these other guys or find some like obscure guys and characters from the comic books or like one-off episodes to use for the film. So the film was doomed to fail. Unlike this movie, where they definitely go into the lore and they definitely use the characters, He-Man back in the 80s was scheduled to fail. So I'm glad they're redoing it. But the cartoon was great. And we've seen the reverse. We've seen the real Ghostbusters. And yes, there's two Ghostbusters cartoons that I liked. And I used to be real mad at there was Ghostbusters, which was not the Ghostbusters that I knew from the movies. And then that's why they came out with the real Ghostbusters. But the Ghostbusters cartoon and the toys, and I'm talking not the movies, guys, the Ghostbusters, they were awesome. They had better villains. I never understood the monkey, but they had better villains. It was cool, and I preferred that cartoon over the real Ghostbusters cartoon, but I preferred the real Ghostbusters as a whole because I could connect it to the movie. So we got that movie. We got G.I. Joe, which was huge, and we got the G.I. Joe movie. And what was great about the G.I. Joe movie was, again, it went into the lore. It introduced us to new characters, but it went into the lore and the story of these characters and really the history of Cobra and kind of where Cobra came from and what Cobra Commander's role was and who he had to answer to. And we went into this like really dark story. And some villains that were part of Cobra, but that were more monsters and mutants, and there's a whole civilization. And I love that. But this whole time, we got this awesome animated series that led up to that. And we got, some 80s superstars in there. And then we got some really cool new characters that they gave a great background to. And the thing is, we got two G.I. Joe movies. Both of them were not good. And we even got a spinoff with Snake Eyes, and that movie sucked. They really had an opportunity, and I've tried. I tried to go back and watch both those G.I. Joe movies, and I wanted them to be good again, and they're just not. Even throwing in some of the big names, you threw The Rock in, and it just didn't work. Okay, my Alexa's going off because I think we're about to have a storm. It didn't work, but we now know, allegedly, we are getting a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. We saw some of that with Bumblebee. We saw some of that, some of those hints with the Transformers movies. And now we're going to get a crossover, allegedly. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how. To me, like, if you're going to do a G.I. Joe Transformer crossover, which we've seen before, not in live action, I think you have to go back and give us a real G.I. Joe movie first. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm hoping that it spawns off into that. Now, there are rumors that there is a G.I. Joe movie in the works, and that's supposed to come out before Transformers and G.I. Joe. I don't foresee that happening, but we'll see. We already got the Transformers, multiple Transformers movies. Not all of them good, not all of them great, but we got that. That might be one of the top tier animated cartoons and top tier animated movie gone live action. Whatever you think about those movies, they did what they were supposed to do. I mean, again, we also got the animated Transformers movies, not one but two, which I think is amazing. I think that we could do more with that, and we'll see, but I'm also okay with taking a break from Transformers. But one of the movies that I always thought, and it's a darker one, it was on for 4 seasons, came out in 1985, was Thundercats. Why we never got a real, true Thundercats movie when their action figures were phenomenal. I'm looking at them right now. And you can get the complete series on DVD on Amazon. And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of want to buy that. You got 4 seasons of Thundercats DVDs on Amazon. Let's see the price real quick before we jump in. Oh my God, dude. Oh, it's $69. $69. But then you've got all series, the He-Man series, $21. That's not bad. Anyway, Thundercats, to me, was one of the best cartoons because it was dark. It was dark. It dealt with magic. It dealt with ancient history, but it had this darkness to it. And it was cool. And I know Netflix tried to do something, but this is a missed opportunity. And I think, and I know there's been talks about live action and who would play who, and it could be really hard to do a live action Thundercats. You'd have to mix some CGI and get some real, you'd have to have a pretty big budget. But I think that you could do it. I mean, the show lasted 4 seasons, and it was an awesome show. It was a huge media franchise. It had a killer soundtrack, great toys. If they didn't do a live action, I say you bring it back and you do a true animated movie, because this deserves to have that. And I don't know why it's taken so long. Jim and the Holograms, we saw that. That was horrible. We know Voltron's coming. We know Voltron's going to have a live action. Fingers crossed on that. Dungeons and Dragons was the game, and then the books, and then the animated series, and then we finally got a live action movie. I never liked the cartoon. Is that Flabby, or is that... No, it's just... Okay. I never liked the cartoon very much. I thought it was very generic, but I thought it should have been a better cartoon, but I'm so glad that just here recently we got a really good Dungeons and Dragons movie that I heard they're supposed to spawn off into a sequel. Mask was another interesting one because I always thought that Mask, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, could be into this same world. And I don't know if you remember Mask. I don't think that we need a movie for it, but it would be really cool. They only had 1 season. Wow, came out in 85. I didn't know that there was only 1 season. There was a Cobra Commander ripoff on there. So if you want to know what Mask is, let's take a look at it, because it kind of took the best of both worlds, or all worlds. It took a little bit of G.I. Joe. It took a little bit of Transformers. It took a little bit of GoBots, which are horrible. And it kind of made this new series that didn't work very well. It was Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K. So there you go. And it was a special task force led by Matt Tracker, who operated transforming armored vehicles in their battle against this criminal organization called Venom. Vicious evil network of mayhem. It's so 80s. But here's the thing, guys. The background is that Matt, former business partner Miles Mayhem, betrayed him, killed Matt's brother, and stole some of the masks which were used to form Venom. and, you know, sent his minions into the world. Venom's primary goal is to obtain money through robbery, extortion, counterfeiting, kidnapping, or to steal artifacts. And they would race. They would race and they would fight. And so it had all these things. But each episode always ended very similar to G.I. Joe with the safety tip told by somebody in mask. They had cool toys, but the problem was they focused on the vehicles, and the action figures were small because they always wanted the action figure to fit in the vehicle. And I thought to myself, even as a kid, I was like, this sucks because I can't cross-moginate, and I did, but I can't cross-moginate these action figures with my G.I. Joe guys because they're smaller than G.I. Joe guys. I did it anyway, but I mean, like, ultimately, you wanted to have this big giant battle in your room in the basement where Mask and Transformers and Venom and Cobra are together with Star Wars, and you just wanted to have this completely intergalactic dimensional warfare, and the little Mask dudes were like, I was like, okay, this is stupid. They had some decent toys though, but they really ripped off a lot of. They tried to go and recreate G.I. Joe and recreate Transformers with Mask. So I don't necessarily think that Mask needs to be a movie. I think that's one we could skip on, but I think most people know it. Now, the counter to Thundercats is Silverhawks. Cats and Silverhawks. The difference is Silverhawks only had one season, by the way, which I didn't realize that until just now. That explains. I think Silverhawks, and that's on Tubi as well. I think Silverhawks could be a cool animated movie. And they did have a crossover with Thundercats, okay? Thundercats X and Silverhawks issue 1 on April 8th, but nobody cares. And now it is from the creator and writer of Thundercats, so that's cool. But I always thought that where Thundercats was grounded, and yes, they had vehicles and they had some of this old world magic, Silverhawks was space. Silverhawks was in space, and it was they were essentially heroes, okay, and they were protecting the universe. But they did deal with other forces and some aliens. There were 65 episodes made, which I think is pretty cool, but there was only one season. So the series is set in the 29th century in the fictional Limbo galaxy. They didn't even try. A bionic space enforcer called Commander Stargazer recruits the Silverhawks, who are partly metal and partly real, to fight the evil Monstar, an escaped alien crime boss who transforms into an enormous armor-plated creature, and he's got this whole whatever. Quicksilver, though, Monstar looked cool, and I remember having the toys because my cousin Julie, KB Toy Store, had a contest, and Julie would always win things. I talked about this years ago on a podcast. She entered this contest, and she won every single Silverhawk toy, vehicle, action figure. She gave me one, I remember, and then I bought the couple others, and I was like, man, she don't even play with these, bro. But yeah, she won that. So anyway, I always thought that was really cool. But again, Silverhawk came out with a awesome line of action figures and vehicles and bases. I think Silverhawk's underrated. I think Silverhawks should be at least an animated movie. Thundercats definitely first, but I think there's something with Silverhawks. I think you could almost make it into a movie, and I think if James Gunn wasn't doing the DC stuff, this has kind of got a James Gunn vibe to it, and he could do that, and I would be totally okay with it. But I do think that on the list of please go back and revisit, Silverhawks is on that list. It's definitely on that list, and it should be there. So, because it is wild. It's a wild show. If you haven't seen it and you're a nerd like I am, check it out. We got the Inspector Gadget. Never really dug the cartoon. Did watch it, but we got the movies, and the movies are horrible because Matthew Broderick's horrible. We've got obviously Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're still continuing to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think the best live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon or movie is from the 80s and 90s. I don't like the new ones at all. I do like the new animated one. It's weird, it's cool, but I'm into it. There's some great cartoons that just don't quite frankly work in movies. I mean, I love DuckTales and all that, but we have some other oddities here. Defenders of the Earth was a combination of like Voltron and Silverhawks. Not a good movie. How we never got a Care Bears movie live action is wild to me. I think about these kids and all that that might be into it. That's wild to me. I don't want to see it, but I appreciate it. We did get multiple Garfield movies, and there's another Garfield movie coming out, and I don't care. The Garfield movies are just bad. Now, again, I understand why, but they're bad. A lot of Star Wars cartoons, droids, Ewoks. We don't need an Ewok movie. We had plenty of those. Heathcliff, those were cool. I actually liked Heathcliff better than Garfield because, I'll tell you why. Because it just added a little more edge to it. One of the movies, which was a video game, or one of the cartoons, which was a video game that I think, and it was based off a comic strip, that I think would make a really awesome live action film is Little Nemo Adventures in Summerland. Now, this was released in Japan simply as Nemo. Came out in 1989. It was this animated musical fantasy. And it was about, now there is an animated movie, but that came out. But I'm talking about the real movie. The real, dive into real characters. The plot. It's a young boy named Nemo, experiences nightmares in which he's pursued by a locomotive. Upon awaking the next day, he goes with his pet flying squirrel, Icarus, to see a parade welcoming a traveling circus. However, Nemo is unable to see the circus since his parents are too busy to take him. That night, Nemo sleepwalks in an attempt to he pretends to sleepwalk in an attempt to sneak some pie and goes into the room. Upon falling asleep, he's approached by different figures from the circus. So the whole thing is, it brings in this, and I don't want to give it all away, but it brings this sleepy, nightmarish, kids are scared, kids want to do stuff. It brings in the nightmare world. You can do the Monsters, Inc., you can do the Freddy Krueger type thing. But I remember watching this, and it's about, I think the extended cut or the original cut's like 95 minutes. And I remember just the characters and the Alice in Wonderland-esque vibe of this dream world, I always thought would make a really good movie. Live action, and I think that's all. We got a video game from it, which I vaguely remember playing, but I always thought that would be a really cool movie because it's writing itself, and the characters that you see in the dream world, quite frankly, could really give you some nightmares. I remember these characters. I remember seeing some of them, thinking to myself, it's pretty intense. Obviously, the action cartoons, those are going to do the best. There was talks of doing a She-Ra cartoon or She-Ra movie. I think if we see She-Ra, much like Supergirl, you introduce her in the primary movie and series. You introduce her in He-Man. And you see the success of He-Man before you dive into, doing a She-Ra thing. She-Ra was interesting. It was never my thing, but again, I was a young boy growing up, so boys are going to do what boys do, and girls are going to do what girls do. Now, as I'm older, I've gone back and watched some She-Ra and been like, I am excited about Voltron, the live action. And there was multiple different versions of Voltron. I had the OG metal Voltron. you took the cats and you formed them, and it was metal, and it only stood like about yay tall. But then they had a big giant Voltron that was plastic, and then they had the Voltron 2 series. I think that doing Voltron the right way gives you the best of like Transformers, but also gives you the the animated style into the movie that you want to see. It's supposed to come out in 2026, I believe, and the cast, of course, the guy behind it is Henry Cavill, which I'm excited about. You've got some other people: Nathan Jones, Sterling K. Brown, Rita Ora's in it. Um, you've got some really good cast members that is in it, but it's an action film and it's an adaptation of the 80s. I looks like that initial release is going to be in 2027, so they are doing that. And Cavill's a big nerd and a big fan of Ultron, so him being involved in it has got me really excited to see. I love that we're also seeing like Mario Brothers. That was a cartoon. Yes, it was a game. It was a cartoon, and it would come on Monday through Friday, and then on Fridays it would be The Legend of Zelda, which we've yet to get a live action. We've gotten the cartoon, and I always enjoyed it, and I read the comics. We are finally getting a live action. I've seen some stills from it. I don't know what that means, but I love that we're diving into some of these pieces, and I think we have the technology now where you can do big IP movies and you can do big IP, franchises without it being always live action. I don't need a live action Mario. I think what they're doing with the animated movie is phenomenal. A live action Voltron makes sense, right? A live action Zelda makes sense. A G.I. Joe live action just makes sense. Transformers makes sense. Silverhawks, okay, it's toss up. Give us a real movie. Thundercats, I'm all on board. I think we could do it. I think it would be hard, but I think it would be awesome to do a live action Thundercats. But if not, let's go back and revisit it. You're doing it with He-Man and it's working. And if people just get it out of their heads and throw the Jared Leto thing, because guys, you're not sitting there, he doesn't sound like him, he doesn't look like him, so who cares if he's in it? But I think that if people don't go see He-Man just because of what they think Jared Leto is or should be or shouldn't be, they're going to miss a great movie. And if we don't have these movies be successful, we're not going to get into these other ones. And I think we really need to dive into some of that. There's just some obscure cartoons that might be kind of fun, but I think what I just went over are some of the creme de la creme 80s, early 90s cartoons that should really, quite frankly, be in revisited, not rebooted, but revisited. I mean, God, we've had enough reboots. Amazon's doing a RoboCop series. Okay. Because the last rebooted movie did so well. Everything but RoboCop 1 is crap to mediocre. RoboCop 2 is not good, but it's entertaining. The rest of them are bad. RoboCop 1 is it. Why are we redoing a series? You know what I mean? So I don't need you to put the reset button and go, here's a Silverhawk cartoon series, when the original was only one season, but you could make a movie out of it. We need a G.I. Joe live action. I'm very curious how they're going to do the G.I. Joe Transformer movie, especially when the G.I. Joe's movies did not do well. They didn't do well at all. There's two of them. Well, technically, you've got G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, G.I. Joe, Retaliation, and then Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes was trash. So bad. Allegedly, there is a reboot series coming out called G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant, which is a horrible name, and it's in active development. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, if you're trying to connect it to the other two, Why? Those were destroyed. Why would we even care about that? Now, the G.I. Joe Transformer movie, a live action G.I. Joe crossover movie, is in development by Paramount, and they showed the teaser at the end of Transformers Rise of the Beast. Now, it's supposed to continue the Bumblebee's Rise of the Beast timeline. It will feature Noah, Anthony Ramos, collaborating with G.I. Joe. The film is expected to be out in 2026, which is not the case. There's nothing on it. It was confirmed 2 years ago. I guess the Autobots are going to team up with the G.I. Joe unit to fight a common enemy. So, whatever that means. Is expected to build on the final scene of Rise of the Beast. Let's look at, it looks like we got some news, just the last real bit of news of this movie, which as a fan and as somebody who loved both of them, I'm in. I just don't know how they're going to do it. He doesn't know much about the crossover movie anymore since the Paramount Skydance merger, which is horrible. And then, of course, now we have them buying Warner Brothers. So we don't really know what's going to happen with that. But as long as the pedos are protected and Trump's buddies are making money and the rich are the rich and we keep getting screwed, I guess that's all that matters, right? Because remember, we're over in Iran now fighting a war to distract us from the fact that half the elites are over there literally unaligning babies, trafficking girls and boys, sacrificing them, stealing from you, robbing from you. They're openly saying that Social Security won't be around anymore. So why do I pay for it still? I'm literally paying for nothing. I'm just giving them more money. They haven't been doing anything for years to protect us. They haven't done anything to protect our women and children. I talked about this in the last episode. And we're doing mergers like this to make billions of dollars. So whatever. That's the world we live in. But I'm not talking about that this week. But I'm never going to let you guys forget that all of them are part of the Epstein Rothschild cult. That we are being run by some other people that aren't in our country. And we are listening to people for their own agenda. And when those people are done and they're doing it under the facade of religious beliefs, and it's not religious beliefs, it's fake. And they're openly mocking everybody else. And they're all about killing and destroying and genocidal tendencies and actions just because we have to cover things up, right? Okay. Anyway, but I really think that you gotta, I know there's a new Transformers movie in talks and in the works, allegedly, of coming out too. It's not just the Transformers G.I. Joe movie. I think if you're going to do the Transformers G.I. Joe, you have to 100% do something right with G.I. Joe. I don't think you introduce the new G.I. Joe concept and team in this crossover. Then again, maybe I'm wrong. Let's go back to Black Adam with The Rock. I don't care what you think of the film. I was entertained by it. I didn't think Black Adam was that bad. The way The Rock handled it, who knows? He kind of bullied his way in, but whatever. He did give us Cavill back one last time. And nobody seemed to care about that. But I think, let's go back to that. We saw a movie that did one of the best things ever, regardless of what you think of that movie. That movie showed us the Justice Society for the first time on film. They were a cohesive unit. Oh, God, my allergies. Good characters. And they gave us so much screen time with them that it felt like we had been watching these guys work together, fight together for years, and we just met them. They could have easily done a Justice Society movie or spun them off into another show, another film, and it would have felt normal. If you can get that type of writing with the new G.I. Joe team, you can have not only an entertaining mark-out moment and a nerd moment, but you could also be like, look, we don't need the history of G.I. Joe because these guys feel right together. But you got to make it work. Otherwise, you got to give us that movie. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I haven't really liked the last several. I did not like Rise of the Beast at all. I thought it was horrible. It was long. It was boring. Um, Visually okay, but I thought Bumblebee was actually a pretty good movie. I'll be honest with you. I mean, hate me if you want. I thought it was one of the better Transformers movies. Just throwing it out there. So we'll see what happens, but I think there's some real good potential there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what one of your favorite cartoons is, or you don't care at all, or what did I miss that you're like, Brandon? How could you forget this should be a movie, or it is going to be a movie? And I'll be back next week on Wednesday. Grab your pink. That's what she said, and I'll see you on the Life of an Average Joe.